Hi, here we have a high-level prognostic chart. This chart is used as a forecast for future flight operations at higher altitudes. In this case, it shows North America as well as South America. And we can use it to identify things like thunderstorms, jet streams, turbulence, the tropopause height, as well as other things such as volcanic eruptions, squall lines, and other hazards. We essentially use this as a tool for flight planning and is typically used by airlines, dispatchers, or even charter companies or aircrafts flying at high altitudes. This chart covers altitude from flight level 250 all the way up to flight level 600, 60,000 feet above mean sea level. The date and time for this forecast is on the 12th UTC time for the 12th of April 2025 and is valid for 24 hours ending at 12 UTC on the 13th of April 2025. First, let's identify some thunderstorms. Thunderstorm activity is depicted by a solid red curvy line, and it's labeled with CB and will now display bases and tops. All thunderstorms on the charts are marked as occasional in this example, and it pretty much means that there's less than 50% of coverage in the area. Some areas with thunderstorms to identify would be along the Pacific Ocean. We can see some red curvy lines displaying occasional, with tops ranging anywhere from 480 all the way down to flight level 410. In some situations, we see XXX for the bases, and this essentially indicates that the bases are below where the chart begins, which is less than flight level 250. CB implies the risks of severe turbulence, icing, and in some cases, hail. And these cells can obviously be hazardous for en route operations and should be avoided. Next, we have turbulence regions. In this chart, it's actually represented by black dashed lines since the recent update. Previously, it used to be depicted as orange, but now it is black. And we can determine the intensity and the flight altitude as well for the tops and bases. The way we can determine the turbulence is by looking at the number associated with it and then referencing it to the legend, which is on the right side of the map. For an example, if we look at the east side of South America, we'll see a 4 in a box. If we look at the legend to the right of the map, we can then see the intensity, which is moderate, followed by the altitude. In this case, from flight level 400 all the way down to below flight level 250 because it's depicted with XXX. Another example would be if we looked at number 1, it depicts severe turbulence from flight level 400 all the way down once again to XXX, which indicates lower than 250. Next, we can identify jet streams. This is represented by black wind barbs with altitude labels and speeds in excess of 80 knots or greater. The speeds are shown by indicating either a triangle, which depicts 50 knots, or a barb, which would indicate 10 knots. For an example, if we look at the south side of America, we have a jet stream core at flight level 380, with the bottom at flight level 340, and the tops around flight level 440. In this case, the speeds would be indicating at 120 knots since there's 2 triangles and 2 lines. And the 2 lines by themselves indicate a change of 20 knots, so something to notice. Next, we have the tropopause heights. This is indicated by blue dashed lines labeled with the altitude. There's 3 distinct tropopause zones that I use for an example. Near Florida, there's one that's at flight level 450. Near South America, there's another at 500. And by the South Pacific, we can see another blue dashed lines that indicates flight level 400. Lastly, for hazards, we can identify volcanoes. They have a volcano symbol, which kind of looks like a trapezium, and this pretty much indicates that there's volcanoes. Some examples that I have over here listed would be the Poas volcano. There's other volcanoes as well in Central America as well as South America. As far as other hazards, there's no squall lines, no sand or dust storms or radio materials that are present, so I did not include them. Thank you.